Hello, if you've watched a video I've made recently where I make some little 2mm triremes from Lasercast Studios, then you know I've been playing around with this Australian company printing out of Victoria. Little armies made from, as I said, laser cut beechwood or something like that. And you know, with recent, there seems to be a recent popularity in 2mm, and the Two Fat Lardies are coming out with their Strength and Honor game soonish, as I'm filming this. I thought it might be worth getting a few and giving them a paint. Very, very quick and easily get a large looking army in a relatively small space. And I think you've probably gathered by now, that's the kind of thing that I kind of like. So let's have a look at these Lasercast armies. We'll open it up and see what we've got in here. Have a look. Got another nice message from Tim again on the receipt. Thanks for buying the games. And here they are. Now these aren't technically the current Strength and Honor Legion little minis. These are an older set that he made that I kind of liked the look of. So yeah, I've got these older style. We have ourselves some sort of large organized army. I'm thinking, yes, probably Romans or something like that. And we have ourselves a more irregular mob of some sort. But there we go. We've got the nice smell on them. Nice and burnt timber, which is kind of like. But yeah, there they are. So that's what you get. Ah, look at that. And we got a nice little bonus in there. Some elephants and some catapults. So maybe we can, you know, thank you for your patronage. Oh, very nice, thank you. Okay, so let's pop some of these out and see what they look like. Now, with the MDF type stuff, it's often good to try and get like a coin underneath there and just pop the MDF out that way. But I found with the last set, it seemed pretty forgiving just to carefully wiggle these fellas out. Yes, indeed. And that's the little army that you get. So then you can put them on your own bases or whatever and paint them up. But that's the kind of thing we're looking at. And so there's our little disorganized rabble. I'm going to be a little cliche and use these guys for sort of like, I don't know, Celtic or Germanic barbarian armies. I mean, the reality is these Germanic and Celtic armies were just as equipped and relatively well organized as the Romans were. Maybe not the big centralized state like Rome had, but anyway. But we'll use these to denote that they are in fact different forces. But yes, so there we go. So I was just experimenting before I got underway with the whole production line of sorting out all these different little army soldiers. And initially I tried to do this sort of thing on the left, tried to have some different colours, sort of represent different tunics underneath. I was trying to steer away from sort of darker colours, that kind of thing. But I didn't like the result initially, especially with the contrast with that sort of golden helmet against that light colour. I didn't think it worked particularly well. So I went the old sort of have a dark brown and a gold look to see if that looked any better. And I do think it does look better on the whole. I'm not too crash hot with the backs of them at the moment. I just went black with silver over top. But then I went around and like edged it with a little bit of red on their sort of shoulders. It's kind of meant to be like some sort of like tunic-y robe type thing, and that kind of helped out. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure if I'm entirely happy with it, but I'll do probably something like this on the right with the brown and the gold. Again, the idea is these little dudes are going to be sitting at a distance. So, you know, they don't have to look, they have to look like a little army at a distance. They don't have to be super detailed. So yes, a bit of experimentation. First time I've ever done this, and so I think I'm going to go this kind of thing more than this kind of thing. Alright, keep going. Okay, so here they are, my little painted up soldiers. And they're meant to be a bit like cohorts in the sort of like manifold system before Marius. Even though I don't know if I'll actually use them as Roman soldiers or not. I don't know. But as you can see, we've got ourselves 6 little cohorts, all coloured up slightly differently, so you can tell which one is which. And yes, we've also got some little leader tokens, which we'll look at in a second. But let me explain each of these cohorts. So firstly, we've got ourselves our little skirmishers. They're meant to be a bit like velites, hence why they've kind of got this grey look to them. They're meant to be like the wolf skins on the back of their heads, and a little bit of gold caps in there. So yeah, little skirmishers. Next, we have the Hastati, the young, keen soldiers, pretty well armed, but young and inexperienced is kind of the idea here. But we'll have a closer look with this larger group, which I'm treating as the Principe. So all of them are painted up in a very similar manner, at least the back 3 ranks. As you can see, I've used like red shields on front and then silver armor on back was kind of where I finally landed. Oh, and little bronze helmets on top. So yeah, I painted around the front with the red shields, even though I don't know if they might have been a bit more mixed than that. But again, I'm not really treating these as like historically accurate Romans or whatever. I also put a little dab of silver in there to be like swords or bosses or something like that. And then from behind, we've got ourselves our sort of silver armor. In my imagination, they're more like chainmail than the sort of segmented armor they had later. But, you know, it's just armor. Meanwhile, on top, they've got their little bronze caps. But there you go. These are our little... They're all painted up the same sort of way, but these are obviously the Histari. Yeah, the main body of the cohort force. Which then, of course, leads us back to the Terrari. If all else fails, the Terrari are there to get the job done. So, yeah, they're painted up the same way. Again, red shields, armor on the back, bronze caps on the top. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the overall result and how they stuck to the bases. Just use some sand for the sort of bits of grass and then paint it up a bit differently. And then put the little colours on the front just so you can see which is which. But I thought we'd also have some sort of leader bases, some command bases, I guess you'd say. They've got like silver and gold on the edges to make them look even more fancy. But they've been done up in a little bit different. On the main guys at the front have got like sort of goldy bronze armor on, you know, look very fancy or something, with red capes on the back. Again, just a little bit visually different from the rest of the army. Again, I don't know if these are strictly going to be Romans. Obviously, they are inspired by the Romans. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result. A few little flaws in there, which we can discuss later. But let's first look at the more disorganized rabble force. So here they are, the more disorganized, more fluid force. Let's call them more fluid force. And as you can see, they're visually much more different from the other force, namely the fact that I've used a lot more sort of silver, meant to be like steel. So they've got like sort of iron caps or something like that. Though, as you'll see, it's a lot less uniform than the other group. So these guys have got themselves some skirmishers as well, and here they are. And they're a bit anachronistic. They've got themselves some brown on their heads and back, sort of representing bear skins. And I know that the Roman soldiers did not come up against berserkers, I know, but again, I'm not strictly adhering to that historical accuracy. On their fronts, they've got themselves some pinky peach skin. So again, it's meant to be a bit like their Starkers as they're running into battle. But just that little bit of silver to say that they have got some swords or something as they're running in. Or maybe some of these berserkers aren't quite as faithful and have got some armor on. And back here we've got our main body of the horde or cohort, or whatever you want to call them. And as you can see, I've made all their shields sort of a golden colour, or like a bronzy type colour. Yes, this is in imitation of the Batarasi shield, which I know is a ceremonial shield. However, it's just a nice colour to have on the front to represent the front of the army, and it again makes them look a bit different to the red of the Romans at the front. With both the Romans and these barbarians, I actually painted the shields deliberately around on one side, so that way I could move them into column formation. And around the back with these guys, with the main big mobs, they haven't got armor on the back, they've just got like their coloured tunics is kind of the idea. So yes, this is the big raging mob, and as you probably can see from this little model, there is a slight problem, probably more with my technique of painting, which we'll bring up later. But we got those little mob dudes, and I also had a third type, which were these dudes. These are sort of the more experienced warriors is the idea. These are the guys who might surround the main chieftains. So they once again have their shield, but their difference is, as well as being a smaller group, around the back they've actually got more silver armor and stuff like that. So that way they look like they're more equipped, they're more trained, they're better ready to go to cause some grief for their opponents. With all these little soldiers, to show they're less uniform than the other army type, with their helmets, I've also put on there just some different colors, like hair colors, to sort of show that some of them don't have helmets, or maybe they've got some bronze helmets in there as well. It's kind of the idea. And here is their command bases. Now these are sort of meant to be less commanders and more heroes of the army, hence why I've got a few more of them. As usual, I can't help but play around with the rule sets myself, and where the Roman cohorts move very consistently and regularly, I thought we could play around with the idea that these soldiers don't move unless there is a hero connected or command base connected to each group. But here they are. Again, they're not that much different from the armored soldiers, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. So there is my little more fluid barbarian horde. Finally, I want to bring up some problems I had with the little models, and it's probably less to do with laser cast, but it is to do with myself and my skill. As you can see, as I've painted them, the beechwood has bowed a little bit. So when it came time to stick it on the base, it means there's a little bit of a gap, which you can probably see there, between the base and the soldiers themselves. It was more pronounced with the barbarians, as you can see, big gap there. And when it came time to sticking the glue, you can also see the glue sort of adhesing out sort of thing. Look, I'm not too stressed. On the table, it looks all right, and I'm assuming there's better techniques to correct that sort of thing with wood miniature painting. Maybe painting the opposite side with a bit more paint on the bottom, something like that. But I'm still happy with the result. So yes, very happy with how they all turned out. I took some advice from Two Fat Lardies using the little knobbly bath mats to make ourselves some forests. And when they all line up on the board, arrayed for battle, as you can see, they are rather nice looking. So I'm pretty happy with the result. I would definitely go laser cast again. They make a good product, and when you're in Australia, the shipping fees are just so much nicer to be able to keep it in country. But I guess around the world, I've seen a few other people also go laser cast. It's worth doing. And they're not paying me to say this. I think they're just not a bad little company. And yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll see me again in the future. Bye.